Okay, this is going to be a really simple video. I just wanted to showcase another use case of Claude, of course. This isn't Claude Code this time. This is just regular Claude browser. So the story goes, my dad is trying to invest in like a rental property in this area called New Britain, Connecticut. And he's trying to do it with a realtor friend, right? This uncle, I should say, sells properties in Yonkers and has heard that New Britain has been popping off, flying like hotcakes, whatever. So we all make the decision to go up there, visit, and tour a couple places. And me being the AI guy, decide, okay, let me do some research. Let me try seeing if Claude can like pick out the strong candidates, the places that we should visit, and then kind of just put together like a research document as well as like map out how we should tour the area. Because at the end of the day, New Britain, Connecticut is like an hour and 32-hour drive from here. So I didn't want it to be, I wanted to make sure that it was worthwhile, right? So that's the problem. The solution that I came up with is a small little, I can't even call it automation, but small little flow that created this in-depth PDF. So right here, you could see a bunch of strong candidates as well as candidates that were mediocre. There's 15 pages here, or close to 12 pages here, and each page is dedicated to a property, giving property details, acquisition, like what we could acquire it as, what the return would be, and if it actually is positive in monthly cash flow, which is probably the most important thing to watch out for, right? It also gave like little details specific to that property, because it would read the property description and be like, oh, okay, like the boiler and hot water heater has been here a long time, considering it's a 1915 build. So you should definitely ask about that to the real estate agent, the listing agent, as well as tenants or whoever's selling the property. Tour checklist. So really useful information. And this just goes on and on and on. And 12 pages of really in-depth information. Even our realtor friend, the person who actually does sell properties, does like he's been in the game for like 30-40 years now, and like it's just off the dome, right? Like he just knows, or he knows people there and trusts their word on it. It's not like he's doing research like this. He opens up like a Zillow link, reads it for like 2 minutes, and then okay, like goes from there, and then later on does more in-depth research. But I figured, hey, like using AI, you could probably get that in-depth research off the rip instead of having to wait until that next step, and it doesn't take that much time. So when we did end up going on that tour, I printed it all out and had it with me while touring all the properties, and like could look at all the details. And even when the listing agent would be asking us, oh, like there's this to know, I would have already known it, because on the drive there, I'm reading up on the property and actually understanding the pricing and like how many units it's renting for, and etc. Okay, enough rambling. Let me show you like how I kind of like automated it in a sense. So all I did with Claude is I gave it this prompt, nothing complicated. I could make this like 10 times better if I wanted to, just by saying, hey, make it a better prompt. But just keeping it simple, I'm sending a bunch of screenshots. Properties in New Britain. You're going to run an analysis on them in terms of cash flow, and if they're cash flow positive, the number of beds, baths, stuff like that, cap rate. The ones that don't make sense, just disregard. The ones that do make sense, aggregate them all, and then I'm going to book tour dates for them when I was actually going on that tour. This is the prompt that I used, and then we're okay with 20% down payment, stuff like that. And then it asked me more questions on how to like format the response back, answer these, and then in terms of the actual research, right? So on realtor.com, I have these set save searches that you guys probably saw from my previous video. If you haven't, then you could click right up there. All I'm doing is running a search, and I pick, let's say, this one, and I'll pop it out into a new, this is probably a good time to clip this actually. Let's see if the audio becomes worse. So I'll open this up in a new tab, and I will hit Control I, or not. Okay, so I'll just right click on this screen, hit inspect, like all the code and stuff. I'm just gonna hit Command Shift P for printing. And I'm going to type in full size screenshot. So if I click that, it'll take an entire image of the website. So instead of having to take multiple screenshots, it took down all the information. And if I go back here, go back to Claude, I can paste this in and say, give me a full in-depth analysis. And theoretically, I could go through all the properties, take all the screenshots and dump it all together, and then tell it to aggregate that information. So originally I had over 40 properties when I was running all these searches, like the individual searches. And after taking all the screenshots and dumping it in, also I should mention the reason why I'm doing screenshots is because realtor.com doesn't have any integrations with Claude. And the only way to bypass that is either to do like Playwright or some kind of like browser scraping tool. And I didn't want to get too complicated, nor do I know how to. So this is like the easy way of just taking a full size screenshot, pasting it into Claude, letting it do the analysis, aggregate all the data together. Another really good part about this is once it found out the 11 really strong or relatively strong candidates out of the 40, it was able to create me a tour map. So this way I was able to optimize the tour. Like I said, it's an hour and a half drive. I want to make the most out of it. So do the realtor as well as my dad. So by aggregating all the addresses and trying to like map out the most efficient route, we were able to get something like this, which we actually carried with us while driving around New Britain. It also gave us a tour itinerary. It told us the top priorities, which agent to contact, even the numbers and stuff, like super useful information to be like handed in like a PDF form, right? I will say that all this information isn't really necessary for a pro in real estate, but for the naked eye and someone who isn't really that adept with this industry, this was really useful for me to just be able to call the listing agent and use scripts like these just to like secure what I needed to get from them. I think the tour day prep checklist was really useful, making sure to take pictures of the electrical panel, boiler, furnace, stuff like that. I wouldn't have known if it wasn't for this checklist. Red flags, questions for every listing agent. Honestly, just super helpful in like first time looking at an investment property. This diagram is kind of just reiterating. I was able to analyze all these properties and get really in-depth information before spending the time to go out on that tour and actually plan out everything. I was able to use Claude to screen the listings and find the best ones. This is the method that I use by doing Command Option I, so inspect, Command Shift P, capturing the full-size screenshot, pasting it into Claude. Running identical analysis on each of the properties is really important, because if it was an actual real estate agent, like you think they're analyzing the first property the same as the 16th, no, they're going to be tired. So when it's Claude doing the analysis, it does it consistently at each level and each property. The scenario that I'm picturing in my head is my parents 10, 20 years ago when they were buying their first home. They went to a real estate agent and said, okay, these are my criterias. Like, look for homes like this. A real estate agent could theoretically put all those criterias into Claude, be like, hey, search this area constantly, keep me posted. If you ever see anything, send a direct alert to this couple or whatever. And it could be like a very polished report, just like the one that I created. And even when they're going on tours, like with my parents and a real estate agent, they're going down an area. Imagine like my parents had an entire PDF like this that they can like look at and like process and understand, instead of having to just go walk in blind and just look at the property, look around and like not really know what they're doing. My point being, this isn't just useful for real estate agents and realtors who want to seem prepared in front of their clients. It's also useful for the clients to just be able to run a report like this and actually come in prepared and do their own due diligence. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Just another use case. Just wanted to showcase it in front of you guys. I'm taking my real world experience of utilizing these AI LLMs and AI agents and just want to toss out more experiences. Good luck and happy building.